Morning, Eddie.
Wissa.
You're entering a really busy period in your season now. I suppose it's similar to 2 years ago when you had European football last, but how are you finding this period at the moment?
Yeah, it's. I always enjoy the games, and I always enjoy preparing the games personally. So the matches is what we're here for. So that's my feelings on it, and I think we embrace every competition we're in. So obviously, Carabao Cup's a competition that we love. So desperate to do well again.
At Bournemouth at the weekend, you made 7 changes, still had a strong team and strong squad, and that was with 4 big names unavailable to you. How pleased are you with the depth that you have available at the moment?
Yeah, we have. I said after the game, I think we have a strong squad, and I think the rotations that we made in the games are a reflection of that. I think 2 years ago, it got to the stage where we couldn't rotate anybody because we obviously had a lot of injuries, and I think we're just trying to navigate the situation better if we can this time around. But we still want to win games, and we still have to win games. We've still got to be competitive. And I thought the team we picked against Bournemouth was a very strong team. And I thought we performed strongly, albeit without a real goal threat.
And do you expect to rotate again against Bradford, because there are quite a few players who probably haven't featured yet this season, or maybe have just made a couple of substitute appearances that will need to play and want to play?
Well, there'll be an element of rotation again, yeah. I mean, the guys that have played 3 games last week, we might look to give them a rest. But I think we want to pick a strong team. We want to try and progress. So I've got to get the balance right. And also, you don't want players to lose rhythm. That's really important too.
You touched on it a moment ago, but the League Cup is special to you, isn't it? How much would it mean to be able to go far, go all the way once again?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the experiences that we've been through in the competition, and not just last year, 2 seasons ago, were memorable to say the least. You know, they're some of my strongest memories of success. The semi-finals, the whole experience of the competition. I think it's a great one, and I think because you're going into it early in the season as well, I think it has a freshness to it. And yeah, that we're up against tough opponents. They're doing very well in their league. They've been on a strong winning run. They've beaten 2 championship teams to get to this point. So full credit to them and to Graham Alexander.
Keith? Eddie, how does it, on a sort of on a wider sort of topic, how does it feel going into the competition as holders?
Yeah, it's nice. It's got a nice feel about it. It's something that we acknowledge, and we want to respect that by trying to do our best to go on another good run. But as we found last year, the early rounds are very, very difficult. We played Wimbledon, and a very difficult game, a 1-0 win, I think a penalty. That was a tough game, and I think it was the same 2 years before, where those early rounds, I think we squeezed through against Tranmere, tough games. And we fully respect every opponent. So these early rounds are so important that you just try and find a way to get through, and that's what we'll be trying to do.
And I know you touched on it after the match on Sunday. It feels very much like the team is maybe evolving a little bit at the moment, particularly in the attacking third. How much of a challenge is that for you, the rest of the coaching staff, the players as well, while you've got Premier League, Champions League, and also the Cup to deal with? How difficult is that in action, if you like, and not in pre-season?
Yeah, I think naturally you do evolve as time goes on. I think we're probably going through a period where we've had the biggest change to the squad in my time here. And as you say, in an ideal world, you have a full 6-week pre-season, you iron out any issues that you have, and then you're forming your partnerships and team relationships as you start the season. Really, they're formed. I think we're in that position now where we're going to have to do it as we play, but I've got no issue with doing that. I've done it before. I'm excited about the team that we can be. We've certainly got things to learn about each other, and formulas to try and generate that we know will work. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is the foundation's solid. The team's playing, I think, with strength at the moment, but we're just missing that sort of X factor that I think will come with the players that we have. Some of them are guaranteed goals and have done that historically, and I see no reason as a team why we won't score regularly again.
When you had Alex over the last 3 seasons, obviously the last 2 seasons he scored a lot of goals. I think maybe 25 and 27. But in his first season he scored just the 10, which is obviously still a good return. Do you think for Nick coming in now, and it feels like there's a bit of pressure on him, do you feel that is a fairer comparison for Nick rather than comparing him to the player who's just left on a British transfer record fee, having scored 27 goals last season?
Yeah, I don't think any comparison to Alex is favourable for any player, because I wouldn't do that in other positions. Every player's unique in their own right, and Nick's certainly that. He's got key strengths, and I thought we saw that against Bournemouth. I thought overall he had a decent game. I think some of his link play and build up for us was really, really good, and he was a focal point in the game that we needed, enabled us to get higher up the pitch, and I thought he contributed in a number of ways. Now, as a team, we didn't function particularly well in the attacking half. There's no denying that. We weren't creating chances for him, and to a degree sometimes as a centre forward, as I said after the game, you are reliant on that service, and we didn't provide him with enough, and the team has to take responsibility for that. We have to take responsibility for that and try and work and put that right. But as I said a second ago, I see no reason why we won't score goals.
Yeah, and I guess you expect the rest of the players to chip in with goals as well.
It's up to everybody to chip in with goals, and historically we've done that really well. Our defenders last year and the season before are regular goal scorers, whether that's set plays, open play. We're looking for sources of goals from everywhere. We can't be reliant on any one department. Certainly the creativity of the team, the midfield, the wide areas has been really strong for us. Our fullbacks have been some of our best attackers in recent seasons, and that has to be the case again.
And just finally from me on Yoane, apologies if you were asked this at the weekend and I've missed it, but what is his situation in terms of his recovery? Is he had to have an operation, or is it a treatment plan? Is he here, or is that happening elsewhere?
No, he's here, and he's receiving treatment. No operation needed. I think we're looking the other side of the international break. We hope he can be fit and available for that first game.
Okay, thanks, Eddie. Cheers.
Go to Alistair, then Damien and George, please.
Hi, Eddie.
Hi.
I guess in this run of fixtures, Bradford would be the one where you would think you would rotate the most, but it'd be dangerous to do that potentially with how well they're playing. How impressed are you with what they've done so far this season?
Yeah, very good, very strong. I mean, I watch them in depth as I do every opponent, and full of credit and praise for how they're playing. They've got a unique style, and it's working for them. I think Graham's done an absolutely outstanding job. Obviously, someone I know well, having managed him myself, and it's great to see him going into management in the way that he has done. He's now very experienced. He's got over 500 games under his belt, and he's doing very, very well. And knowing him as I do, how conscientious and hard-working he is, I know he'll have done his work on us as well. So I think you can expect 2 very well-organised teams. But they've got clear strengths. They're playing with confidence. Physically, very good team. Anyone who's winning games regularly and top of their league is going to be a threat. So, we'll pick a strong team.
That being said, there's obviously a few divisions in between. Is this an opportunity to get those attacking patterns of play working the way you want them to, and to get some confidence in front of goal?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's all bad. I think, we created chances against Barcelona, one of the best teams in Europe. We looked threatening on the night. Maybe not a constant stream of chances, but we created some big ones in that game. The Bournemouth game was difficult, but I think it always is going there, and I thought we gave a strong performance without the killer touch. But we're working on that all the time, and as I said, I back the players that we have to score goals.
Thank you.
Thank you. Damien?
Eddie, the final back in March was one of the biggest days in this club's recent history. How long did you allow yourself to enjoy it, and how much has that given you a hunger to taste more?
Yeah, thinking back, Damien, that's a tough one to give you an accurate answer on. I certainly enjoyed the day. Everything about the day was, for me, one of the best days that I've had in football. It was the performance, the general attitude of the players that day, and the way we handled the occasion was absolutely brilliant. And it was great to experience sort of afterwards, the feeling of accomplishing something really special. Then, of course, we had the parade, which will live long in the memory. So I think probably after the parade, we then focused on the rest of the season, and really impressed with how the players attacked that, because it's been very easy to pause in that moment and just be happy with what we'd done in that competition, but we didn't. We went again. So I think there's a lot to reflect on in that period that was really positive. But of course, you move on very quickly in football. No one really wants to look back too much. I think it's always about the future and the next game, and we're in the spell now where we're preparing and playing every 2-3 days. We're looking forward to the challenges that await us. Bradford's the next one, and yeah, we can't wait for that.
Thanks, Damien. George?
Morning, Eddie. On a similar sort of theme, not many managers get to win things, get to win trophies. Is it the kind of thing that you look at yourself in the mirror the next day and kind of look at yourself differently, feel differently about? Is it sort of life-changing in that sense?
I try and stay away from the mirror these days, George. As you get older, I'm sure you know the feeling when you're looking at yourself.
No, I don't know what you're talking about, actually.
No, I don't think I tend to reflect on it like that. I think I'm always swept up in the next day, as in making sure what I deliver for the players is good enough, what I deliver for the club is good enough. I don't think there's ever a turning point or a sort of a moment where you pause and go, you've done this or that, because everyone's ready to shoot you down again. So you have to consistently prove that you're able to do the job to the standards that I require of myself. So no, I'm very hard on myself in terms of trying to drive myself forward to improve, to make sure I'm doing the best I can.
2 years ago, your life was a lot harder in terms of injury suspensions, but your job was arguably easier because you didn't have decisions to make. It feels like that's flipped around a bit. You know, like all managers, you want more players, better players, you've got a bigger squad, but your job becomes harder in terms of keeping people happy, making the right decisions. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think to a degree it is. I think this season we absolutely need the squad. You know, if you don't have a big enough squad to carry the weight of games that we've got, we're going to have problems. I've said all along we're going to have enough games to keep the players happy, if that's something that you have to do, because I think the players ultimately have to play well to earn their place. It's not a case of keeping them happy, it's a case of them performing to play. So anyone who's upset really will be upset because they haven't done well enough to guarantee that starting spot. And I think that's the demand, a healthy demand that's placed upon them. The competition for places has always inspired, or should inspire, the group to better outcomes. But managing the squad from my perspective, I think is something that I have to do. And also I said after the Bournemouth game, we have to trust the squad. We've got good players. So making changes isn't a reflection on playing a weaker team. It's just playing a slightly different team. Maybe players with different strengths that are suited more to that game than others.
Thanks, George. We'll go to Lee, Craig, and then to Dom, please. Lee?
Eddie, on Nick Pope, obviously he's playing really well at the minute. He's got 4 clean sheets. But you also have Aaron Ramsdale, needs a game as well. Is that a dilemma for you going into this game?
Similar really to George's question, in the sense that we'll pick a team bespoke for this game. We'll try and win the game and try and get through to the next round, and we'll look at the squad as a whole and see who needs to play and who maybe needs a rest. Just individually on Nick, I think he's done really, really well. I don't think he was overly worked at Bournemouth, but a couple of key moments where he did his job really well, made a couple of key blocks. I'm really pleased with his start to the season. He's a huge player for us.
Just on Lewis Miley and Joe Willock, obviously came back into the team at the weekend. They obviously need a run of games, but with your sort of stellar midfield three of Bruno, Joe Linton and Sandro, it must be hard to give them that run of games.
Yeah, I mean, it's doing the maths is quite difficult, but we need that strength in midfield. You know, those opportunities aren't going to be there maybe as regularly as any player likes. So when you do get the opportunity, you've got to try and grab it. I thought Louis played really well. I think he gave a mature performance. As I said earlier, it's a tough away ground. They play with a lot of high pressure, so every time Louis was receiving the ball, he had pressure from behind. He had to make quick and good decisions, and invariably he does with the ball. He's a really good distributor. But I thought it was a mature performance. Physically, I thought he looked really good. No fatigue in his game. He played 90 minutes. Thought he looked strong. Joe playing slightly higher up. Probably a little bit disappointed he couldn't influence it more for us in the attacking half. But again, the team didn't really do that well enough in keeping sustained pressure around their box. So that's something for the team to reflect on.
Thanks, Lee. Craig?
Morning, Eddie. It was a turbulent summer, to say the least, and to a degree. Are we seeing the hangover of that now? And if I could just take you back to the very last day of last season, you spoke to us post-Everton, and you were really clear when you said the club had to be dynamic in what it did. If I were to show you that a video of that, that delivery now, when you were quite clear when you said it, what would you think in terms of how the summer played out and the impact it's having now?
I think with transfer windows, of course that was my intention, but I think that would be the intention of everyone at the club. No one would be going, well, we'd like to do our business late and start the season with a group of new players that you've got to mould as you're playing. So that was never the thought of anyone connected with the club. But the way the summer unfolded, and there's a whole host of reasons why that happened, this is the situation we've been placed in, and now it's our job to try and make the best of that. That's always been my method of work. But I think it's quite clear that the summer was turbulent. I'm not sure is the right word. It was difficult, and we've tried to come out of it as strong as we could. And I think we have. I think the squad's really, really strong. But we need to do a lot of work now to try and gel the team together.
And when you look at the team, I don't think anyone would say the team is playing badly. 4 clean sheets out of 5. The building blocks and a lot of what is recognisable about your team is there. But ultimately, that joy of watching your team, you've always been a really good team to watch. When you watch them now, do you enjoy what you're seeing? And will you know that back when you do enjoy it, if you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I think if you can look at different games, and you can always look at the past with rose-tinted glasses. Let me tell you, there's not every game last season and the season before and the season before that. You'd look at it and go, well, I enjoyed watching that. We were brilliant. There's a lot of games where you just have to try and win ugly. One of the biggest wins we had going to last season was West Ham away just before we played Liverpool in the Cup, and everyone was going, it was a poor game. For me, that was one of the happiest I'd been, because I knew the importance of winning that game before the final. So yeah, rose-tinted glasses, I think, looking historically, is always a danger. And I think when you're looking actually at this season, I've been really pleased with how we've played. Now, the results haven't matched some of those performances. Aston Villa was really strong. I thought Barcelona was really strong, and goals in that game changed the perception, I think, of what we gave. I'm never going to sit here and say to you Bournemouth was a classic and encourage you to re-watch it. It wasn't. But we got a valuable point, and as long as we're getting positive results, I think the performances, and hopefully will stay strong, we'll grow together as a group.
Thanks, Craig. Dominic?
Hi, Eddie. Do you think you'll see the best of Nick when he's got Yoane to play off or with?
I think regarding Nick, I think Nick's made a really strong start. I think Nick will improve the fitter he gets, firstly. I think that's a huge thing. He's come to us with obviously not being used to the demands of Premier League football, and this league is relentless physically, and of course our schedule is relentless. So in terms of us doing physical work with him, that's very, very difficult. A lot of what we're going to be doing with him in the short term is to try and keep him fit by not putting him in dangerous positions in terms of playing 90 minutes, consecutive 90 minutes too early. But sort of fitness will be an issue because the Premier League is different, as I said. So I think that's the biggest thing for him, and I think once he gets fitter, you'll see an even better product. Yoane's a totally different case. Yoane, if Yoane was available now, he'd be allowing us to work with maybe Nick's fitness in between games by sharing some of the load. But certainly we need him back, and need him back quickly.
And how is Yoane in himself? Because I can imagine it must be incredibly frustrating to come to a new club and not be able to play.
Yeah, I think he's fine. Look, I haven't spent too much time with him because we've been away preparing for games, etc. But every time I've seen him, he's been positive, very, very keen to get going, wants to show his worth. Yeah, it'd be really frustrating for him to come in and get injured while away on international duty, but he knows he's got a big part to play this season.
Thanks, Tom. Go to Jordan, Joe, and then across to Gary, please.
Morning, Eddie. Just on Jamal Lascelles, he was left out the Champions League squad but got minutes on Sunday. Could play again tomorrow. What is his role this season?
Well, his role is such an important one. He's an absolute leader of the group, and he'd be in a group of players that is fighting for minutes. But I think for Jamal, he's such a role model in terms of how he conducts himself and how he behaves and how he trains. A vocal presence as well. We're going to need him to keep to those standards because he really is a great culture setter for us.
He obviously featured heavily during the last Champions League campaign. How did he react to being left out of the squad? I know he's an older professional. Was he sort of okay about it, or was he disappointed?
No, I think he was disappointed, of course, because he's a winner and he wants to compete and he wants to play like everybody else does. But of course, coming back from his serious knee injury, he's done really well to come back in the way that he has. He looks in great shape. But obviously that was a big blow for him. And of course now competition in that position is really hot. I mean, we've got some really, really good defenders at the football club. And Jamal is one of them.
Thank you. Joe?
Morning, Eddie. Just wondering, following the departure of Callum Wilson in the summer, have you replaced him in the leadership group?
That process is ongoing. We give it to the players to vote, but we wanted to wait until the end of the transfer window when the squad was settled. So we'll find that out in the next few days, I think.
Thank you. And just on Bruno, he was rested on Sunday. How important are them little bits of rest for Bruno going to be this season so he can be at his best every game for you and for his country?
Yeah, absolutely crucial. I think we need to look after Bruno at the right times. And I thought last week was an incredible shift when you go back to what he gave us against Wolves to play in the manner that he did in that game when he was clearly tired from the travelling that he'd done. Then to back that up a few days later against Barcelona, and you could see again he was tired towards the end of that game, but he'd given everything. I felt we had to protect him in the next game, looking at all the numbers that we get, and now hopefully he'll benefit from that rest for the next few weeks.
Thanks, Joe. We've got a Gary to Kieran and then Martin to finish, please.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
I'm not sure if you've seen Graham's press conference yesterday, but he spoke about how it was the toughest period of his career under yourself. He said, I didn't like Eddie Howe at the time, and I'm sure he didn't like me. I just wondered if you could just share some light on that period and your relationship with him now.
Yeah, no, I really liked Graham, so that's news to me. No, I think it was a difficult situation. So I was very young coming into a new club, and sort of part of my brief at Burnley was to try and change the team and to go into a sort of a younger looking team in a new direction. And of course, Burnley's squad at the time was heavy with experienced players having just come out of the Premier League. So it was a period of change really. But I think, look, Graham, I could see from the outset was an absolute winner with his mindset, wanted to do everything, wanted to play every game. And, I didn't, possibly looking back, and I think it was a learning experience for me, I didn't play him enough and I should have played him more. And I always very honest with my sort of critique of myself. I have to. So I think that I made some mistakes early in my time at Burnley where maybe I should have trusted the experienced players a little bit more. But as I said, part of my brief was to take the club into a new era with a younger team. But in terms of his professionalism and how he conducted himself, he was absolutely top draw. And I think I always learn off the experienced players, especially when I was a younger coach because they were older than me. So no, I had no issues with him. Top professional, top player. And it's no surprise to see for me that he's gone into management because I think he had those qualities even then. He's a big leader within the group, set the standards, and great to see him doing so well. I'm really pleased for him.
Thanks, Gary. Kieran?
Morning. Did you sense kind of the mentality of the club shift after ending, that long wait for silverware? It just felt like a monkey came off the back a bit. Does it feel different now, or?
I don't know. I think it was great to do it in a sense that it did stop people talking about the wait for a trophy and an exciting dawn really of what may lay ahead for us and what we could achieve. But the day to day, you don't really think about it. You're in the mix, and we're in the mix now. It's early season. We've got to try and form how this season's going to look, and the work starts again. So I wouldn't say it's changed too much in that respect.
And you kind of touched on now the team's evolving from open play. It feels a bit like set plays you're evolving as well. Do you think it'll take time maybe for kind of that to come to fruition with the new coach coming in and what have you?
Yeah, I hope not. That's not the plan. The plan is to, of course, make the difference from set plays. I think we've been really good in that respect for a long time, and I think when you look at games like the Bournemouth game, if you play as we did, defend as we did, and you nick the game 1-0 on a set play, you'd say it's the perfect away performance. But of course we didn't. So I think we have work to do in that respect. We have the players, we have the height. I think we have the delivery, but something's not quite clicking, and that's not a criticism of any coach. That's a criticism of me. I'm ultimately responsible for it. So we've got work to do. We can do better in that respect, and we will do the work to try and be better.
Thank you. Martin, to finish.
Morning, Eddie. How big a blow was the injury to Yoane?
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, you go into the new season with your squad and you feel you've got your squad sort of settled and you've got a plan. And then, of course, we didn't even see Yoane. He's come back injured. And that was a difficult one, having outlaid the money that we have. And we knew that Yoane was Premier League ready, as it were. He knows the league inside and out and has scored goals in it. So, but I think, look, it happened. We have to deal with it. I think, touch wood, it's not a long-term injury. It's we get through the next few games and then he'll be back.